Okay. No. Okay. Okay. Are you kidding me? Fun fact about Devil May Cry. It's hard. So hard, in fact, that I put off getting the platinum for this game for over 7 months, despite only being a single trophy from getting the plat. Devil May Cry as a series needs no introduction, from its humble beginnings as a thrown-away concept for Resident Evil 4 to fundamentally changing action hack and slash for the rest of time, and very much still being one of the top dogs in the genre. Today, however, we go all the way back to its origin point in 2001, when Devil May Cry first released on the PlayStation 2. On release, it received universal praise and is still the highest scoring entry of the franchise on Metacritic. Having said that, in recent years it has certainly not been as widely noted as the more popular entries in the franchise, such as DMC 3 and 5, a fact that is easy to understand as they are both highly rated on Metacritic and have much more modern gameplay aspects to them. Be that as it may, I always prefer to start at the beginning, which leads us swiftly onto our very arduous attempt to platinum the Devil May Cry franchise. Starting with the first game and waiting to see if the rest of the games end up on this backlog playlist in the future. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Platinum Backlog, a series that I set up to help me clear some of my PlayStation backlog and earn more trophies. In case you need a refresher on what we're aiming for with today's video, click the link in the description below and it will take you to the brief explanation and the playlist if you want to check out the other games featured so far.
Let's rock, baby.
Good news first. As I mentioned earlier, we only need one single trophy to tick this game off the list. The bad news is that the trophy in question requires me to attempt to beat the game on Dante Must Die difficulty. If you know anything about this game, or any other franchise for that matter, you know why that's not a simple thing to do. Thankfully, however, I have already progressed for a decent chunk of the final playthrough, and currently we are starting the video at chapter 16, and with only 23 chapters in total, we are well on our way to completion. All that's waiting for us now is the most difficult aspect this game has to offer. So, get your DMC vinyl spinning, sit in your most comfortable deck chair, and get yourselves motivated as we delve into the hardest platinum so far. To get everyone up to speed on what we've done so far, we've done 2 full playthroughs, once on normal and once on hard, attaining all the unmissable trophies along the way. Within these 2 playthroughs, I needed to complete the game without using any yellow orbs, collect way too many red orbs, and then found and completed all 12 secret missions. The third and final playthrough on normal is where I finished up collecting blue orbs to max out my health and had to grind out the entries for every enemy file in the status menu for the I read you like a book trophy. Yeah, did I mention I've just stepped right back into this challenge without any preparation? Because that's what I did. And that is probably going to be super obvious as I show you our first roadblock. This stationary platform, in the first 5 seconds of playing. With the first victory achieved against the most challenging adversary, we need to take a minute to remember what the buttons do. Next, we run past this section, narrowly avoiding becoming mincemeat for this Scythe dude, and run up the spiral staircase to place the Wheel of Destiny that passed to me from 2023, grabbed at some point, so we can return to the castle. After taking a moment to appreciate the lighting design of this room, we whack this symbol on the wall and start fighting these lightning enemies, truly showing off my rusty ability with these mechanics. After losing half my health from a single attack, we managed to beat him and enter the next room to take on 3 more of them. Oh, there's 3 of them. Things are happening I do not recall. Despite this, we end up surprisingly winning and pressing on. I later learned that this room was entirely skippable. The next room we came to humbled me greatly. Damn it. Damn it. After getting tired of dying a lot and wasting some yellow orbs, I actually quit back to the main menu in an attempt to preserve them, and found out something quite amusing. Okay, so I was, I realized I've already done chapter 15. So, we're gonna start from this chapter here. That's good. Progress has been made. Yeah, turns out all the effort was a complete waste of time, as I'd already completed chapter 16. So any of you that noticed my mistake in the introduction, get wrecked. It was just top tier script writing. I obviously from this point on played from this save file. Chapter 17 starts with us fighting some flame breathing puppet dudes and reaching a room where we needed to jump into a painting. Okay. Attempt 2 through the painting goes a lot better, as I do actually remember that Ifrit gauntlets are the best way to deal with these ice lizard guys. Just activate Devil Trigger and go to town like it's Mortal Kombat on them both. This next section became the perfect place to brush off any remaining rust. Why was that, you ask? It's probably having something to do with the fact that I was here for almost 20 minutes, constantly getting bested by these dudes. I should probably explain this timer you see here. Sometimes on Dante Must Die mode, when you enter a section, a countdown starts. When this reaches 0, all the enemies enter their own Devil Trigger, from making them do so much more damage and take so much longer to defeat. After remastering the combat controls, we enter this area. We first need to deflect these fireballs back to this dinosaur skeleton, so we can platform our way up to picking up the Quicksilver, allowing us to enter this door and reach this chapter's boss fight. This fight is truly iconic. Nero Angelo's third fight is tough, and while yeah, you can cheese most boss fights in this game with items, I wanted to utilize this fight to improve my skills at the game's mechanics, and see if I could at the very least do well enough in this fight to prove to myself that I am marginally okay at this game. This fight is brutally unforgiving, where even just giving him a small window to attack can lead to him taking over half your health bar in one strike. In addition to this, for a good amount of time, he has this form where he flies up and just throws swords at me. It left me struggling for a while, and 9 times out of 10, left dead to rights. Okay. The amount of damage I was doing to him mostly depended on how long he took to enter flying sword throwing mode, by which point I'd get skewered back to the start of the fight. After some experimentation, like trying to use Alistair, trust me, do not do this, stick with Ifrit and a grenade launcher. After losing what I deemed too many yellow orbs, I'd often quit out the main menu to reset my yellow orbs, even though this came with the caveat of needing to run through the whole chapter again. I did actually start getting better at mastering the mechanics and noticing patterns. I even found myself getting better at doing combos and dodging attacks. Mind you, Ifrit's fire jump comes in very handy when protecting me from incoming projectiles. My go-to strategy was to build up my Devil Trigger gauge by spamming dodge rolls with the grenade launcher into Nero, then hitting him with a jump attack which causes an AoE called Flame Pillar, and when possible using the Kick 13 combo, which can stun him if he's not blocking beforehand. By doing this, I was almost consistently getting him to around 50% health, with most of my attempts ending with me dying to this ridiculous combo, which would leave me basically dead. On this run, after getting down to 30% health, he hits me with this upper swipe and leaves me on 1 HP. After tempting fate there and getting away with it, I wasn't taking any chances and decided to use one of my untouchables. Using this allows me to be invincible for a few seconds and have infinite Devil Trigger time, allowing me to finally beat this fight after about an hour of attempts. Yes! I feel good. This boss fight is what I would consider to be DMC1 at its peak. With enough patience and game knowledge, this fight is easily one of the most fun experiences this game has to offer. Anyways, with this fight over, Dante picks up the amulet and we complete mission 17. I got the D! With what turned out to be Virgil bested, we now enter the red floor portal and return to the Mario 64 hub world, as the painting to Dire Dire Docks opens up for us. Thankfully, instead of giant childhood traumatizing eels, we just have to deal with scissor-wielding spirits and the world's worst underwater controls since the last game that had underwater sections. After cutting down all the enemies, the door opens up and we escape the FPS water section. We just need to hit this button in the next section and enter another FPS water section. Thankfully, this doesn't last long, and after some jumping, we pick up the Philosopher's Egg and take it to the next area to place it on this fire goblet thingy and get ready for the next nightmare boss. A quite literal name. This guy is actually called Nightmare. Oh, I know what we've got to do. I know what we've got to fight, and I'm not looking forward to it. And as my reaction to the fight shows, this thing is an experience. Here is a couple of mechanics this fight has, just to paint a picture. He is a pile of goop until you hit these symbols on the wall to make him corporeal. He is invincible to damage unless you hit his orbs, which appear at limited times. He, on occasion, can absorb you into his pocket dimension, making you fight skulls and a boss fight from earlier in the game as well. He can fire like 100 lasers at you, impale you with his thick rod, steal your devil trigger gauge, send out a giant ice beam. This fight has enough going on. Gen Z doesn't even need to have Subway Surfers gameplay next to it to keep their attention. For this fight, smarter people than I found out that using heavy attacks with Ifrit are the most optimal way to do damage to Nightmare, while minimizing the damage to the individual orbs. From that, the boss fight cycle is fairly standard, only needing to whack the wall symbols, jump around dodging attacks until an orb pops out, begin to heavy attack said orb while activating Devil Trigger, and rinse and repeat. Despite how hellish I made that all sound, this fight only took me less than 20 minutes, which I am proud of, but I know what's to come later in this video. Defeating Nightmare 2 using only a Vital Star and an Untouchable is fine by me. He goes down and the egg has conveniently transformed into an elixir just after Nightmare went away. There we go. Okay. I'm happy with that. Another chapter, another ominous red floor portal. We head back into the room this time with no more paintings to jump into. From here, we can backtrack to yet another red floor portal. Dante, you gotta start thinking before just willingly hopping into these things. The portal takes us to the bedroom and we enter the mirror, which takes us into the demon realm, complete with so many camera effects smeared onto the screen, it looks like a modern day AAA release. Here we are introduced to the nobodies, who are really inconsistent unless you've got Devil Trigger Ifrit jump attacks ready to burn them away. After dealing with them, I wandered around lost for about 6 minutes, eventually making it back across the destroyed bridge and entering a portal taking us to the gateway into the underworld. A chapter without a boss fight. I'm so happy. Well, I was until I read the next chapter's name. You're killed Nightmare. Before he who shall not be named shows up again, we gotta deal with these ice bros. Like 90% of this game's enemies, Devil Trigger Ifrit jump attacks make short work of them. Although that section being quick means we get to the boss fight quicker, and well, yay. Welcome to Nightmare number 3, and depending on how you beat the first 2 fights, this will either be painful or near impossible. You may be asking, what's different with this fight? Well, on top of having a lot more health, and a lot more things being fired at us, this net trap thing, and the pocket dimension fight now features Virgil, this is just a pure Nightmare cranked up to 11, and then some. Ambit. And I'm not afraid to say this, took me as long, if not longer, than Nero Angelo. After so many deaths, and slowly progressing through more and more of his health bar, eventually you get it low enough to activate another surprise mechanic, which includes Trish occasionally firing lightning at us. Yippee! It's actually not all that bad. What is absolutely vile, however, is that when you get his health bar down, the evil bastard goes and recovers a quarter of his HP. What? What? Okay. What just happened, man? I'm doing fine, by the way. The fight became a lot more bearable after I decided to use some holy waters, untouchables, and a vital star to eventually end this nightmare. Yes! Oh! Oh my god. Oh. This fight, man, is done. Dante, clearly as frustrated as me with this fight, shows his anger at Trish, which, to be honest, is quite fair, as she was spamming him with lightning earlier. He walks off and descends further into the underworld. Unfortunately, the underworld is full of nobodies and these weird rainbow tentacle things. It's really just a gauntlet of the toughest non-boss enemies the game can throw at us now. until it holds truly the hardest thing any game from this generation can throw at us. Platforming puzzles in non-platforming games. Getting through this puzzle allows us to punch this wall symbol. We hit this wall symbol and then it opens up this giant door beating the chapter. Chapter 22, the penultimate chapter. We finally come face to face with Mr. Mundus himself, or a statue of him anyway. As we find out, he's got Trish captured. He impales Dante with some demon skewers. Before Mundus can kill us, however, Trish pushes us out of the way and appears to fall before us. This gives Dante the anime power-up needed to level the playing field. Suddenly, the statue begins to crack, and Mundus' true form is revealed, and we are now playing a bullet hell game? Okay. Who am I to question the Lord and Saviour, Hideki Kamiya? I'm fairly sure he intended us to do this fight as designed, and well, normally I would, but this is Dante Must Die, and after only ever getting him to about 3/4 HP, trying to do it traditionally, I said nope, and just fed Dante some Devil Stars and Devil Trigger spammed this phase, completely trivializing it in the process. Now, the final fight. No gimmicks, no exploits, and no cheese tactics. Just a true sense of skill. No. I'm just kidding. Ain't no way I'm doing this fight the traditional way. We take down the big bad, say the greatest line in DMC history.
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light.
Now the escape from the island begins. We have 5 minutes to escape this nightmarish place before the energy from Mundus dying destroys the whole thing. Backtracking through all the really fun areas we came through on our journey. Such good memories. Some areas do lock us speeding through and require killing enemies. By the way, unrelated, but absolutely fuck these shadow enemies. I can never get this pistol jump on their spike insta-kill reliably. Getting through here, we are suddenly dropped into the sewers after the ground collapses beneath us. Suddenly, the flying spaghetti monster appears before us, with its plan being to have the crumbling castle be a grave for the two of us. After some failed attempts with the pistol not being strong enough, who else but Trish comes to our rescue and powers up our pistols to be as strong as DMC2's entire weapons arsenal, allowing us to bring the pain and finally seal off Mundus for good. After some emotional early 2000s video game dialogue happens, the world's greatest Chekhov's gun appears in the form of a biplane, allowing us to escape the crumbling castle despite my efforts to hit every single obstacle in the way. We listen to some more absolutely masterful dialogue.
Devil May Cry's a rockin', don't come a knockin', baby, yeah!
See Trish and Dante go into business together, and after vibing to the credits music for a bit, reach the end chapter screen. Mission clear. There's my gold trophy combustible. And finally... God damn it. Yes! After all is said and done, platinuming Devil May Cry had its ups and downs. It's certainly showing its age, there is no doubt about that, and its obvious, strange development process, going from initially being a resi game to becoming what it is today. However, somehow through all of that, you have a series origin point that starts off really solid. Sure, the game mechanics and style aren't all that crazy nowadays, but for the early 2000s, this gameplay was revolutionary. If you can get past its clunkiness and interesting dialogue choices, there is still so much to love about the original game. Devil May Cry went on to become a more combo flashy series after the fact, and it's always fun seeing how a long-running series starts, and I can certainly still say that DMC1 holds up in being a fun game to master and understand. If you would like to see future videos from me, by all means hit that subscribe button. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Thanks for watching, and please do take care of yourselves, and I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me to get the platinum.